The spas and the bathing, tell me, there's so much science behind it and you've learned from so many different cultures. What are some of the healing properties?
Yeah, it was like an epiphany moment for me.
You are the ultimate visionary. So when did these thoughts come to you?
And I looked up and I saw a valley full of snow-covered trees, and I just said, why don't we have this in Australia? Just felt, wow, this is what I've been looking for.
In this episode, we chat with Charles Davidson, the visionary, co-founder and creative force behind Peninsula Hot Springs. What began as a life-changing visit to a Japanese onsen became the spark for one of Australia's most iconic wellness destinations.
And we had 50,000 people in the first year, and it's grown and grown and grown, 20% per annum for the first 14, 15 years. So before we even had our first plan finished, I'd been to 15 countries on hot spring missions. It's now up to 58.
Let's meet someone who turned a single hot springs experience in Japan into a world-renowned wellness destination here in Australia. I'm Kate Save. The Inspired CEO starts now. Welcome to The Inspired CEO, where each episode we explore the innovative wellness practices that are driving success and longevity in the modern business world. In this episode, we chat with Charles Davidson, the visionary, co-founder and creative force behind Peninsula Hot Springs. What began as a life-changing visit to a Japanese onsen became the spark for one of Australia's most iconic wellness destinations. Charles shares how his childhood curiously evolved into a lifelong passion, the hurdles he's overcome, and how he maintains balance between business, family, and health, all whilst inspiring a global movement in the thermal wellness space. Welcome, Charles.
Thanks, Kate.
What an introduction. So, take me back to this trip in 1992 when you've gone to Japan and you've experienced an onsen and you've had this fascination then to maybe start in the global.
Yeah, it was like an epiphany moment for me. It was in March 1992. I was in the town of Kusatsu, about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Tokyo. And I was lay in the hot pools for the very first time of experiencing a hot pool. And I looked up and I saw a valley full of snow-covered trees. And I just said, why don't we have this in Australia? And the sensation of being connected to nature, lying in the hot pools, it was cathartic, it was incredible. And I just felt, wow, this is what I've been looking for.
And so then you went to the Australian Embassy in Japan and you discovered from there that there was hot springs that you could exploit or use or find in Australia.
Yeah, that was a number of years later. So it was 5 years later. I'd been living in Japan, working for a big Japanese trading company, and then was visiting hot springs and keeping the idea, but I didn't know how it was going to manifest, and I didn't think there was hot water in Australia. But when I joined the Australian Embassy, I was having a beer after work one day with a man called Kevin Knowles, who was the head of the Victorian State Office. And he said, you're a bit too entrepreneurial to be a diplomat all your life. What's your dream? Yeah. And I said, I'd love to do hot springs. And Kevin said, I think there's hot water on the Mornington Peninsula.
No way. Is that where you were from initially?
We lived in Melbourne, but we had a farm on the Mornington Peninsula, and so I'd learnt to ride and to go camping and to be in nature on the Mornington Peninsula. And so when this was, of all places, where there was hot water in Australia, was just unbelievable. It was meant to be.
Gosh. And so then you've moved back from Japan to Australia, and with your brother, you decided to buy 42 acres, and you hadn't actually seen the springs yet. You just knew it was below the ground somewhere.
We'd done some analysis. We'd asked one of the big engineering companies to do some testing of some old government bores. They tested the bores, put some thermometers down the bottom, and found that it was still hot, the water.
Wow.
And it was close to where the property was. So we ended up, I got my brother involved. I called him up and when I was in Japan and said, look, how about we go into business together doing hot springs? he thought about it for a week or two, and then when we came back, he said, yes, let's give it a go.
That's a lot of trust.
And it was, yeah, it was a moment in his life when he was trying to reimagine what he was wanting to do as well. So, and he had an ecology background. He did a Masters of Environmental Science at Monash Uni and did a BA in geography. So he was, felt like it was something meant for him as well.
Yeah, and so your background and your training, so how did that complement each other with this?
Look, I was in business. I did a commerce degree at Melbourne Uni, and I went off into international trade and worked with huge companies exporting hundreds of millions of dollars worth of food. I was in the food industry, but what it did for me was to learn a lot about commerce, to be able to not get scared of numbers. Just because it was going to cost a lot, it wasn't something that was necessarily the problem. The problem is you have to have a good plan.
Yes.
You have to have a good business plan. You have to be able to see that people will turn up, which you don't know until they turn up, and that they're going to keep coming back and enjoying the experience and sharing the experience with friends.
So from buying this block of land to actually opening, how long was that?
That took us 8 years, which was the longest, hardest 8 years of my life. And, when I say long and hard, I mean, it was really about not knowing whether it was going to happen or not. So you're in this limbo and not knowing whether we were going to, be able to feed the family. And I started off with one child. Kai was born, our eldest of 4, was born when we found out about the hot springs. And the place and from knowing that there was hot water on the Mornington Peninsula.
Oh, so Yuki and you met in Japan and came back to Australia?
We were working together at the embassy.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and then Kai was born in Japan, our eldest, and then over those 8 years we had another 3 children. So we ended up having 4 children. I think it was because of the poverty.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford to turn on the television, and Kiara was born the same time that the water came out of the bore. So it was sort of like from one child to the 4th child.
Wow.
And but I didn't know if I could feed the family. For years you didn't have proper income. We ran a little a bed and breakfast, and which was designed around spa. But it was super tough, and often I thought of going back to corporate life and working, and I just couldn't leave where my heart was following me.
So opening that first day, what was that like? And the emotions of, are people going to come? What does that look like?
Well, the first day, which happened to be the day after my 40th birthday.
Oh, that's crazy.
I was just exhausted. In fact, on my 40th birthday, we went to Flinders Hotel with the family and had all the kids and everyone, and I went to the couch and went to sleep. I was so exhausted. So that was my 40th birthday. So, and then the next day was the launch. Absolutely amazing, but you're still in disbelief that it's real. And actually I think it took about 10 years before I actually believed that customers were coming, and the numbers kept on growing, and we had 50,000 people in the first year, and it's grown and grown and grown, 20% per annum for the first 14, 15 years. So it just kept growing, and people loved bathing. They loved that social connection.
So 10 years before you actually stopped and went, this is working.
This is real. I mean, look, from day one, it was actually financially viable.
Yeah.
From day one, it was making an EBITDA return, a profit from the beginning.
Wow.
But it was just because it had taken so long and it was so difficult to get to the beginning. You were sort of in disbelief. You kept working and kept doing it and still loved it, but it was this sort of healthy skepticism, I think you'd call it.
Well, you are still hands-on, but I remember first meeting you, it would have been when it was just after the 10-year anniversary, actually, and went into your little boardroom at the time because you were renovating, so it was a portable, and you had the big whiteboard, or it could have been a piece of paper on the wall, but you were drawing, this is what we're going to build, this is what we're going to build. And I'm looking at it like, this is like Disneyland. You've put all these things that, and then we went for a walk. And I remember I was in my heels and my skirt, and it's 2 hours later, I've got my skirt pulled up, I've got my shoes off, we're walking through the mud, and you're like, just walk across this log. And I'm like, no, I think I'll go through the mud. I feel like I'm going to slip off that. And you're like, and this is where we're going to put the
food bowl,
and this is where we're going to have the glamping. And it all came to fruition. Like 10 years later, you've had the 20-year anniversary.
Yep.
And you're 60.
A couple of months ago, exactly. Yeah.
Spectacular. And the Peninsula Hot Springs now is like a Disneyland. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Of health and wellbeing and connection to nature. Yeah, that's what it does. It brings people into a place where they can be.
You are the ultimate visionary. So when did these thoughts come to you? Like, not many people could have pictured building what you've built.
I think probably number one is you've had a number of experiences. So as soon as I knew that I was going to be doing a hot spring in Australia, I said, well, we need something for the population of Australia. And I said, the population of Australia is actually every culture. Mm-hmm. So I had to start travelling. So before we even had our first plan finished, I'd been to 15 countries on hot spring missions. It's now up to 58. I was just in Tanzania. And so I keep learning from other cultures. So you get your inspiration from others and then also from the environment. So we spent a lot of time camping and being on the property and looking at the hills, looking at the spaces, feeling the land. And so you combine knowledge with
community too.
From the very beginning. Yeah, from the very beginning we met Auntie Carolyn and some other Bunurong elders, and we're speaking to them about what it could be, and sharing a dream and working out how we can work together to make the environment true to what its nature was. And we learnt it in the early days that part of our property was a birthing place, away from the coast where it's windy and it can get very cold, and in some of these natural hollows. And so it's always had this sort of feminine energy, but it's around nurturing and caring and being a safe place.
Was there any history of the elders knowing about hot springs or anything?
There wasn't there. In other parts of Australia, absolutely, and there's connections. There's natural hot springs in lots of states of Australia. Victoria doesn't have any. They've got a couple of slightly warm places, but in terms of hot springs on the Mornington Peninsula, we had to dig down 600 metres. So it wasn't gurgling out of the ground by itself until you dug down. Gosh. And then it comes up under pressure to just below the surface, and we pump it from there. So it wants to be at the surface, but it's high pressure water from down below. But no direct indigenous stories on the Mornington Peninsula.
Fascinating. Now, the spas and the bathing, tell me, there's so much science behind it and you've learned from so many different cultures. What are some of the healing properties?
Well, look, it depends on, there's a couple of factors. One is the warmth, which is just the comfort and in that case you can have hot and cold, and it's about getting your body moving. But then each mineral water has its own mineral composition. In our case, we're a sodium chloride bicarbonate spring, so that's the classification. But we have minerals like magnesium, potassium, boron, selenium, calcium, and your body basically acts like it's the biggest organ is your skin, and it does absorb. It's like we can have patches. The doctor will give you patches. Your skin can actually absorb. So when you hop in the water, your body will say, I'm lacking in magnesium, or I'm lacking in something, and it actually can absorb micro minerals, these colloidal minerals through the water. So when you come out of the pools, you feel invigorated. Some of the things it's known for being good for is hypertension and stress, for fertility. So the particular mix of minerals is good for fertility. So if you're ever thinking of going to Monash IVF, maybe come to the hot springs and bathe and relax.
Yeah.
And I think probably the biggest secret is being able to relax with your partner.
Yeah.
And be able to bring your homeostasis, your body condition down to its natural state, and then you've got a chance of relaxing and maybe be able to conceive if you're after children.
So interesting too. My first experience at the hot springs was a gift voucher for my husband and I for our must have been engagement or something, 15 years ago or something. And that's really interesting. Those memories are so strong now that you say that, because you go there together and you both relax together. There's something special about doing that with your partner and both being in that zen that it puts you in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Incredible. And so what's next for you now? So for the last 5 or 6 years, you've been at the chair of the Global Wellness
Institute. Hot Springs Initiative. Yeah.
I saw it's a very long title. What did that mean?
Well, basically, we pulled together a whole group of, maybe there's about 20 people, academics and business leaders in the hot spring space.
Oh, right.
From multiple countries. So from Europe, from Cuba, from Chile, from America, from Germany, from Australia, New Zealand, lots of countries, Japan, China, and so forth. And we have people, and every month we get together on a Zoom call and really talk about how can we keep building the culture, the global culture of hot springs. We put on a number of events. We have World Bathing Day on the 22nd of June every year, which we've been doing for a number of years. We do what we call a global thermal think tank. It started off as tours. It was actually myself when I was going to the Global Wellness Summit every year. I would also visit a country and then I'd go and visit hot springs, either before or after, and sometimes both. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll get some other people to join me because I'm organising everything anyway. And so it ended up being, tours, and then in China and Japan we did major exhibitions. Basically, we had 200 or 300 people turning up for a mini conference before the Global Wellness Summit, and it had grown and grown. That was just pre-COVID. And since then we've done a little bit, but not as much. COVID did shuffle things around a little bit. We've still been doing all the other activities like World Bathing Day, and we have actually done some global thermal think tanks in Australia and New Zealand. We had one not that long ago, a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Incredible. So you've stepped down as the chair, you're now the ambassador. What does that role mean for you?
It basically means I'm a support of the new chair, who's one of the other team members. And it's really, you've got to always have a succession plan, but you want people not to, move on and disappear. You want people to keep that energy, and having an operator as the chair is good, and having an operator who supports the chair. So it's really a support role, and waving the flag. I talk at many conferences,
you were in an incredible one recently. You went over, you told me, to, was it Canary Islands?
The Canary Islands, yeah, that was one, and yesterday I was invited to go and speak in Oman at the end of this month, and I said I can't because I'm going to be too busy, but that was Oman. I was in Scotland talking at the Global Wellness Summit and had a keynote address there. So yeah, it's being a spokesman and talking about how we can imagine the future and a future of health and well-being, and in our case using the hot springs as a place of relaxation, a central point where wellness can be personified and amplified.
And you've got 7 wellness principles, and I can see that you've tried to bring them all into the hot springs. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. Well, we've got, there's things like relaxation. So that's the core of what we do. Then you've got food and nutrition. So what you eat is so important, and speaking to the food and nutrition expert, of course.
You've got a beautiful food bowl that supplies
we grow some of the ingredients and try and work on the SLOW principles: seasonal, local, organic and whole. You have movement. We have, exercise is, it's a basic principle. Yeah, we do yoga. We have an outdoor gym area. We have lots of the trails are designed to get people walking. So they're not just one big pool and people just sit down on a lounge next door to the pool. We actually encourage people to move from pool to pool or from sauna to other experiences, really to keep themselves moving and to connect with nature, but themselves, and exercise. So you've got exercise. We have culture, so arts, culture and events, and we put on some music, but we also bring in celebrations of various cultures around the world. So we do a Diwali festival celebrating Indian culture. We have a Chinese New Year festival, so which is now Lunar New Year. It's really big.
And you've got the incredible amphitheatre there for people to sit in the spas and watch.
Absolutely.
The entertainment. It's incredible.
And you can have some gentle music there, you can have talk back, you have some, depending on the actual festival. But we do multiple festivals to celebrate multiple cultures, and that's as one of those pillars.
Creativity?
Creativity, yeah.
And I noticed when we did a tour with the walking headsets around the facility and how vast it is, but even with the creativity, we were picking up sticks and drawing in the sand, and all of these wellness principles just are everywhere if you open your mind to it.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's a holistic thing. I mean, wellness is a way of being, it's healthy habits, and it's the biggest challenge in business, but in life is to have the right habits and trying to keep them up, and whether it's getting people to eat the right things or whether it's getting them to move right, but they've got to do them all. You've actually got to do a bit of everything, and so it's getting the formula right. And we hope that when we get people into a hot spring space where they can stop and just be for a little bit, that their minds open up after they're relaxed. Their minds can open up, and then they can be more receptive to learning, more receptive to taking on new ideas because they are relaxed. They're not, de-stressing.
That's right. So that amygdala, that fight or flight, and those parts of the brain, they probably calm. And then you've got the magnesium, so the muscles just relax.
There's some magic, and look,
magic,
every day we keep on looking at new ways that we can engage people. We're even just recently we're working on new memberships and midweek programs where people can you can buy a membership and then come and you can do co-working at the property as well.
No way.
Yeah, you can bring all of your work gear and give yourself a wellness work day. We've got outdoor desks, indoor desks, we've got spaces. So, but you can look at your clock and go, 12 o'clock, there's yoga class on, and you can put your computer into a locker, go out and have a session of yoga and then come back. And so you can give yourself a bit of time out but still be productive. And
that is incredible, phenomenal. You need to speak to the guys here at Creative Cubes. I can imagine there'd be some sort of, something you could do together.
Totally, yeah. Once a month they can have a special arrangement to send their many people, their community, to look after their health even better. So.
Amazing. And what do you do for health and wellbeing?
I play tennis, I go skiing, I go hiking. I've just come back from a hike with my family, which is more family health, but it's actually physical health as well, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. I'm on Monday heading off to go to Italy for the Dolomites, and I'll be walking there. So there's sort of, walking's a big one. My dog is my best coach.
Fitness pal,
Yeah. It looks at me and goes, another walk, and always up for it.
So good.
And he forces you or encourages you through guilt that if you don't take him for a walk, you'll feel bad, but if you take him for a walk, you feel good about yourself as well. So,
I love that. And Yuki's a fantastic cook, so you've got incredible food at home, don't you?
That's been the foundation stone. Yeah. She's. I try and compete very occasionally in the kitchen, but I'm not very good compared to her.
So if people want to learn more about the hot springs, where do they go?
Look, the website is the best, and we've actually got a new website coming on very shortly, which will be great, but peninsulahotsprings.com. So just online is really the best, but any search will bring up lots. It's very well recognised. It's very searchable. So I think online, Peninsula Hot Springs.
Well, this is the Inspired CEO, and we'll be right back.